This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Watch us fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Blah! Welcome to the King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast. I am Rusty, and it'll be just Rusty today. There is Mike is out today, so I just want to get on here for a little bit and just thank everybody for continuing to watch us. And we've been a little up and down lately, but I appreciate everybody sticking around with us for it. We're gonna get you your episodic content back again next week. And right now, it'll just be me yammering on about stuff. So I'm going to... didn't really have anything planned to talk about. So if anybody is in our live chat and wants to chat, just chat away and I'll communicate with you there. But if there is nobody that wants to communicate in the live chat, that's okay too. I've got a little article here that I was going to discuss. So everybody knows Luann Platter, but a lot of you might not know where she gets her name from. So Luby's is a cafeteria-style food restaurant that's popular in Texas. You know, we had one here in town at one point, but they closed it down due to lack of service and stuff like that. People just weren't eating there anymore. Do people really want to sit down and eat cafeteria food anymore? You know, that's another thing, because Luby's actually provides contract food service management to a bunch of different places, used to anyway. They don't do it anymore, but you know, they got the Texas Children's Hospital. They used to provide food services, Baylor College of Medicine. So it was kind of interesting. So the restaurant itself was actually founded in 1947 in San Antonio, Texas, by a dude named Bob Luby. His dad actually had a cafeteria business in 1911. And by the time Bob was 40, he had become successful, and he started opening these cafeterias everywhere, and decided Texas was going to be the place that he opened them. So he opened a bunch of these Luby's cafeterias in Texas and stuff. And they actually were listed on the New York Stock Exchange at one time. They had over 100 locations, operated in 11 states in 1996, so over 200 restaurants at that time. Then they just kind of didn't do that great after a while. COVID lockdowns kind of hurt them. They actually bought Fuddruckers and Cuckoo Roo. I don't know who Cuckoo Roo is. But as it goes, they're still alive. I think they're still going. It says they're still going here, but they had planned to close all locations by 2021. I don't know if that's the case. I'm pretty sure there's still Luby's open somewhere. I don't know that they were completely killed out. Let's see if we can see if they still exist here. Yeah, they still exist, apparently, according to their website. There's still a bunch of them in Texas, all over Texas still. You can get them in Austin, Houston area, Corpus Christi, Dallas area, El Paso area. A bunch of them are in Houston. I just don't know that. Luby's is not one of the places. One of the audience members, Alexander Green, said, "How do you not know that?" I don't eat at Luby's. I was never a big Luby's guy. My grandma would visit from England, and we would go to Luby's, and that's about the extent of my Luby's experiences. I would eat Luby's with my grandma once a year whenever she came to visit from England, and that's about as much Luby's as I got. But it's good to see they're still open. So the article I'm reading obviously is going to be off of Cracked. It was written a few days ago. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to kind of skim over it. So Luann Platter, world's okayest hairdresser, creator, and host of the puppet show Manger Babies. So her namesake is a dish at Luby's. So I don't know if that was intentional. I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was highly intentional. But I thought it was kind of funny that she was named after a food platter. So it's called the Luann Platter Texas chain restaurant Luby's. You get to pair a select entree, so you could get fried fish, you could get bacon cheesesteak, French grilled liver, and it's 2 sides and a roll. So the Luann Platter is whatever entree you pick, whatever 2 sides you pick in a roll, and for an unspecified great low price, whatever the great low price is. So they call it a Texas comfort food staple. And I'm not saying their food is bad, but cafeteria style food is made in mass. So I'm not huge on like eating a big scoop of mashed potatoes out of this big vat of mashed potatoes that's been sitting there for an unspecified amount of time. So I have mistakenly spelled Luann's name wrong a lot because it says here, as the character continues to dominate Google search results for both Luann with an E platter or Luann with a capital L and a capital A platter, the latter auto-correcting the King of the Hill spelling, the status quo is different down south. So Luann's name is spelled differently from the Luann platter. So they do separate the two by their spelling at least. So, yeah, it's half an entree, 2 vegetables, and bread. They were supposed to liquidate all of their deals, but it says here, with this apparent ubiquity and its roughly 39 remaining restaurants of 2025, Platter is far from Luby's only legacy, both in and out of the King of the Hill canon. There is in the show also. So, yeah, so you've got Luann Platter that's named after a Luby's dish, but you got Luli's, which is a parody of, Luby's. And they eat there throughout the series quite a few times. And then here we go. Hank's quote is, "Son, they've got 8 kinds of ketchup here and 3 kinds of catsup." Hey, Jordan. Yeah, it's just me today. Mike has busy today and he couldn't record today, and I was busy yesterday and I couldn't record yesterday. So I told Mike that I would sit here and chat with you guys for for as long as I could sustain conversation. I'm not really good without somebody to bounce off of unless I'm playing video games. Now, if I'm streaming video games, I could talk for 12 hours straight. But I'm not streaming a video game to you guys, so coming up with a conversation on the fly is not always my strongest suit. So I did pick Luby's and Luli's and Luann Platter to talk about. I thought that would be interesting. Even on the Luby's page here on their Wikipedia page, it says in media, the Luann Platter, a popular combination platter served at Luby's, inspired the name of the character Luann. So yeah, it is canon. I'll run through this real fast. So 6 ways King of the Hill continues to remain relevant today. And I'm not sure if me and Mike have discussed this already. We might have. No, I don't think we have. So the first one is number 6. It still reflects American cultural and political dynamics. I think that's That's true. I think you've got episodes that focus on sexuality, religion, race. I feel like the show was kind of like on the forefront of that kind of stuff. I feel like they never really shied away from any of those things. You've got, Dale is this, conspiracy theorist nutcase, and I feel like there's a lot of people in the world that can relate to that. Especially Luann when she did her voting for communism and stuff like that, when she didn't really know anything about political parties, she just voted. It's bizarre yet realistic tone. Yeah, there is a lot of zany antics, especially like Joseph not knowing who his dad is and Dale having no idea that he's not his biological father. And I feel like there's a lot of those kind of crazy stuff. Or like the Pygmalion episode where the dude gets put into the meat grinder and she dyes her hair, wears a pig suit, does all this kind of crazy, all the pig suit stuff. So I feel like there is some bizarre, I don't know about realistic. I don't know how realistic some of those things would be, but Cotton dying out of spite, or Nancy being impregnated by aliens, as Dale thinks. Number 4, it has great characters. That's something that I could agree with. I feel like all the characters are super relatable. So for me, these 4 guys or whatever, they're dudes that like I grew up around people that were similar to these 4 characters, and it's really funny how topical and how their personalities and stuff like apply to now. Like there's still people I know that now that I'm aged up, there's people that I know that are my age that are similar to these 4 guys. There's like people I could like name in real life. I'm like, oh yeah, that dude's similar to Dale, or oh yeah, that guy that's Hank Hill reincarnated, that kind of thing. So it's kind of good that they were able to create such relatable characters that are even as relatable as they were then now 30 years ago. So, we're 30 years after the fact of this show being created almost now. And I feel like their characters are just as relatable as they ever were, especially for me. I mean, I relate to each and every one of them really in different ways. And when I say characters, I'm really talking about the 4 guys, Dale, Hank, Bill, Boomhauer. There's other characters that I related to at certain points in my life. I would have related to Bobby at one point in my life. The awkwardness of puberty, I probably would have related to maybe Joseph a little bit and some of that kind of stuff. I like the weather too, so maybe I relate to Nancy because she likes the weather. Or does she like the weather? I'm not sure if she really enjoys the weather, but she enjoys reporting it. All right, number 3, it can be genuinely touching. Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of episodes that have these really, really touching moments, like when Hank saved Luann from a tornado, or how much Hank loves his dog. I feel like it's touching. I feel like there's a lot of people that really love their dogs like Hank loves his dog, and I feel like it's a kind of touching thing in the show. And then Hank showing up to deal with Peggy's Boggle tournament stuff, or when Hank goes through his unmentionable medical issues and she's always there for him, that kind of stuff with the fake butt boobies and stuff. I feel like those are some touching moments. Or when Hank and Bobby bond over burgers, or a lot of the a lot of the arcing themes in the stories is Hank and Bobby having an extreme difference. And then by the end of the episode, Hank's like, well, I love him anyway. He's my boy, kind of thing. That's my boy. So they ended up finding through their differences how much they actually love and care about each other, which is touching, genuinely. Okay. Number 2, it strikes just the right comedic balance. So it is a tender and thought-provoking show, obviously, but it does balance itself out with really good comedy. So one of the most iconic comedic bits in the show is Bobby running up and kicking people in the nuts after taking a women's defense course. So that That's my purse. I don't know you. That whole thing is like a really iconic scene. And then you've got Hank being mistaken for a pimp, and that whole episode with Alabaster. And I really thought that them having a white pimp voiced by Snoop Dogg, but the pimp's name is Alabaster, which is a type of, it's a shade of white. I thought that was kind of funny in itself. That was comedic in it. That might be a little more subtle, but I thought that was pretty funny. There's a lot of episodes that are really funny. One of the ones that I really like, I don't think we've discussed this episode or went over it yet, but I'm pretty sure we haven't. It's further on down the line. But the MMA episode where Street Fighting Khan. I don't remember what the name of that episode is, but when Khan becomes a street fighter, I really think that trope is pretty funny. I think Khan becoming a street fighting hillbilly is insanely funny. And obviously, comedy's subjective, so not every one of them is going to be funny, I guess. But there's not too many things that I don't find funny on King of the Hill. There's very few episodes that I don't laugh at least 5 times. It talks about King of the Hill changing animation and how it relates to animated comedies from before or after. I don't really think there's any good comparisons pre King of the Hill. I guess in a way for the Flintstones might have been relatable to people of that era. I'm not really from the 50s or 60s, so I can't really relate to that too much. It's not like something that's super relatable to me. King of the Hill, I feel like, is definitely way more timeless, I guess, especially for the modern era. One of the things they discuss in it, they have the internet and things like that, whereas the Flintstone is more like the nuclear family. So it says here, many other cartoons have been inspired by King of the Hill, while they're technically not a part of the same universe. The Good Family. They say The Good Family is in many ways the opposite of King of the Hill, while the latter satirizes more conservative views and lifestyles. The former critiques more liberal ones. So The Good Family is a more liberal version, I guess, of King of the Hill. I've never seen The Good Family. I really need to make it a point to watch that to make the comparisons and stuff. They call Bob's Burger a spiritual successor, which I guess in a sense it might be a little bit. I don't know how much I would say that it's close to that, but revealing class struggles, challenging politics, maybe predicting conspiracies, breaking stereotypes. I feel like there's a lot of that in Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is a really good show too. It's one I've watched not a whole lot of, but I've watched enough of it, I guess, to talk about it a little bit. In comparison to King of the Hill, it's a dad and his kids, and everybody's just trying to survive in the world. So I guess that's the relation there, I guess. But yeah, I think that is it for what I have to talk about, guys. Unless anybody in the chat has any questions they want answered, I could answer a question from anybody in the YouTube chat right now. If nobody has any questions, thoughts, feelings, or concerns, you could find us at BWAAAKOTH on all social media. And you can also email us at BWAAAKOTH@gmail.com. I'm also contemplating and considering starting a playlist on this YouTube channel here that we've started of me playing war type video games and cosplaying Cotton Hill. Not really. I'm not going to cosplay Cotton Hill. I take that back. But playing war video games as if I were Cotton Hill. I killed 50 men. That is something I'm contemplating doing. So if anybody's interested in that, shout out to our email at bwaaaakoth@gmail.com. If you want to see Rusty play video games, I might direct you to a different channel to do that, or we might do that here on this channel. Haven't quite decided how we're going to do that yet, but if anybody's interested in it, just let me know on social media in the DMs or email me, and I will gladly respond to you and give you what you want or don't want. So, I'm going to sign off for now, and for that, all I have to say is Wimitanye. Wimitanye indeed.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.